I can
Yeah.
hear you. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Finally got together. How's life treating you?
It's good. I mean, as good as it can be in a quarantine. What about you?
Yes, about the same. I was actually I was doing some reading as far as you were concerned, preparing for this podcast, and I noticed that you're from Franklin, Tennessee. I'm in Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So my wife works in Franklin. So yeah,
Oh,
we're,
cool.
we're we got a ton of cases here.
Really?
Yeah. Do you have family still here?
I don't. I was living there at the time, so I don't have any family there. I have some friends who live out there for sure, and I know a
I
bunch of
got
the other contestants on The Voice are out there too.
Yeah, yeah, it's getting bad. So you're in California?
Yes, I am. I'm like an
Okay.
hour north of Los Angeles.
Okay, cool. So I noticed also that you're like into fitness and everything. How did you get into that?
So I got into fitness actually through my dad. My dad was a champion bodybuilder.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
he was Mr. Teen USA in 1979, which was
Awesome.
he was huge. He looked like just like a giant. So I always was in love with fitness. And then I started hearing about like the bikini competitions that was
Hmm.
one of the sections of bodybuilding. And I asked him to train me, and he
Hmm.
trained me, coached me in that, and got me into that. And then I train in MMA outside of that as well, and got into that a couple years back, but really got more into it within the last few years.
Okay, okay. Well, so you've competed, obviously. Are you like actively competing in the industry now or no?
I did last year. I did two competitions. Right now, I was taking some time off to build some muscle,
Hmm.
but right now my focus is on The Voice.
Of
So I'm
course.
going to
Yeah.
resume as soon as my schedule clears up a little bit and I can actually put in the time. Because I'm somebody that if I'm going to do a competition or a show or something, I'm going to put everything into that. Put my focus into that. So
Sure.
I don't want to do it halfway.
Sure. And I mean, The Voice is obviously such a much bigger platform,
Definitely.
every a lot more eyes on you than, than a NPC competition. But what made you, as far as like music is concerned? So I know your dad was a bodybuilder. I did some reading, like I said, so I kind of already know, but tell us like what happened? How did you get into music as well?
Well, my dad, his love was music to begin
Hmm.
with before he got into bodybuilding, and he continued music throughout the years. I mean, that was his passion, and my siblings and myself, we all kind of followed in his footsteps with the music. We'd follow him to shows. We'd just always be around it.
Hmm.
And when I was two, I went to one of his shows and begged him to let me sing, and I was like pulling on him, like, "Come on, let me go up and sing." And it was a Christmas show in front of like 2,000 people in
Hmm.
Switzerland, of all
Oh,
places, where we
wow.
don't
Okay.
speak English, obviously.
Right, right.
Um, and he finally let me, and I went on and I took control of the stage. I stopped the band because nobody was singing along with me. Um, they didn't know the lyrics, but
Right.
I was mad. I was like, "Come on, we're restarting." And I took control, and I was like, my dad was like, "Oh, she's a performer." And so it kind of started with that,
Hmm.
and just progressed from there.
Okay. So you said like that was his first love before bodybuilding. But what made him just kind of fully go into it? Because when I was reading, it said that he quit bodybuilding completely. Was there like a point where he decided, okay, well, I'm gonna just go all in into the music side of it, or was he kind of already doing that and just doing the bodybuilding on the side?
He was always into music. I mean, he started when he was like 6 or 7 by following
Hmm.
his big brother to just band practices for fun. And he taught himself all the instruments that he plays. And he got into bodybuilding when he was about 16, but he always had music as his love.
Okay.
And he knew that music was his number one passion. Like there was
Hmm.
nothing really that was going to compete with that.
I got you.
So he made that decision to just quit bodybuilding and go full force into his music.
So what kind of music did he do, like genre wise?
He did a little bit of everything, but his main genre was like classic rock. That was where his heart was at. But
Okay.
he has branched over into every different genre. I mean, I feel like any musician tries out every genre because if
Sure.
you love music, you'll try everything.
Sure. So the reason that I asked that is because I'm sure you've heard this. Is they said it in The Voice, but and anyone who hears you kind of hears that, and you've got like a kind of throwback voice where it can be into that like older rock type of sound. Did you pick that up like as you were you know, playing with or singing with him, with family, or is that just kind of how your voice developed?
I mean, I think there's definitely that influence from him just because growing up, that's what I listened to. I
Hmm.
didn't listen to modern music. My dad would put in a CD in the car while we were driving or while we were just doing our daily life. And he would just tell us it was the radio. So I didn't know anything other than the classics because he
Hmm.
wanted us to learn the roots. So I definitely think that had an influence on how my voice turned out and what influences my style. Um, but I think that I get like a rasp and a grit and a tonality thing from him because he has a
Hmm.
very similar grit to his voice.
Yeah,
So I
I mean,
think
I can even hear it in you just while you're talking. It's coming out a little bit. You know, when you're singing, it's coming out a lot. But
right.
yeah, that's I mean, that's incredible. So, what made you decide to go for the voice? I mean, I'm sure you know you were doing singing probably a lot of different places, and at some point you decided, okay, I'm gonna try out. What made you decide that?
Well, I mean, I'm in a full-time band. I am the
Hmm.
lead singer of the band, and we perform 3 to 5 nights a week, 4 or 5 hours straight. Like we don't take breaks. This is what I do full time.
Hmm.
And I saw the open call listing online.
Hmm.
I'd see it all over town, and I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. Why not just go try it and see what happens? If something comes from it, great. If not, then it was a fun experience. So I went and I did that open call, and it worked out for the best.
Yeah, and great that you did, right? So, what was the, if you don't mind, and you, if it's all right with you to plug the band, what's the name of the band, your band?
The band is the Fulco Experience. It's my dad, my two brothers, and two other amazing musicians who play
Okay,
along with us. So yeah,
okay,
if you look up the
cool.
Fulco Experience, we pop up somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, guys, definitely check it out. If your voice is a tell of anything that's going on in that band, definitely it's worth, you know, looking at and hearing. So when you were singing, you were trying out, and if I remember correctly, it was Cher's song that you tried out with. And was there a reason that you picked that song? Like, did you just pick it because you liked it, or was there certain points about it that you thought would benefit you?
Well, when I was thinking about the songs, I wanted something obviously that showcased the tonality of my voice. And I have always been a Cher fan because I have a deeper
Hmm.
voice. And I'd never really had a woman in music to look up to who had a similar sound. So Cher was the first person that I came across with a similar tonality, similar sound. And I fell in love with her and her music. So I definitely wanted to do one of her songs.
Hmm.
And Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, I felt was fitting because I've never really lived anywhere a very long time. I've grown up on tour pretty much,
Hmm.
traveling the world, living in different places. So I felt like it fit who I was as a person, as an artist, and
Hmm.
vocally, I feel like it suited me.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have picked a better artist to you know do their music. But while you were like performing that song, so you know it goes two different ways, right? And it doesn't necessarily dictate on where you're going to end up in the show. But sometimes it takes a minute for somebody to press the button and turn around. Sometimes they do it immediately. Yours wasn't immediate at that point. That span of time, as you're singing, are
It was
you?
long.
Are you thinking, oh, like it's like what am I doing wrong? Or were you pretty confident then, you know, you're gonna get somebody to turn around with that song?
I think it's definitely, especially doing an older song, it's definitely a risk because you risk
Hmm.
people not necessarily knowing the song, or it's just a give and take. And in that moment, I feel like for me, it was definitely a little nerve wracking because, I mean, I think it was like over a minute into my song where I was sitting
Hmm.
there, I was like, man, just turn, somebody turn. So there's definitely that feeling of, oh no, maybe they won't turn. And then I saw Blake turn, and like just obviously relief came over me,
Yeah,
and I could really settle into, okay, I'm on it, and I'm on the team that I originally wanted to begin with.
great.
Um,
Yeah,
and then seeing Nick turn and the blog, that was insane.
yeah.
So it built up the suspense, and I think it made it that much better when somebody did turn because it was like, whew, it happened. I'm here. I made it.
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, once you get that one person, then you can kind of relax a little bit and kind of
Definitely.
really, you know, let the anxiety kind of pass. So how is it the experience on Blake's team? We're to us, we're I think we're done with the recordings, right? Are we done completely with?
Yeah, so we everything up until the end of April is pre-recorded. So
Okay, the end of
blinds,
April.
battles, and knockouts. So we're going into the knockout rounds now,
Okay, yeah.
showing what's going to happen with those. And working with Blake has been amazing. He is such a phenomenal coach. He's so nice and he's so much fun to work with because he has fun himself. Like he enjoys
Hmm.
it. So
Hmm.
it makes it so much fun for us because we get to enjoy the experience, take it all in, and take in his advice and his critiques and learn from him. And I mean, he's been in the industry for so long that it's great to
Yeah.
get his insight.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely imagine that you're probably gaining a lot of experience, working with him. How are your parents taking it? Your dad and the rest of your family? Like, how are their thoughts about this, and their feelings with regard to you being now on TV? Really, everybody kind of knows you.
They love it. I mean, they love the experience for me. They love getting to see it. Obviously, it definitely is a little bit more difficult being that we're such a close family and we work together. I mean,
Hmm.
we live together, work together, we do everything. And being on The Voice, that was my first time performing alone. I'd never perform by myself.
Right.
I'd always have somebody in my family, where there was my brother or my dad or somebody with me on that stage. So it was definitely a challenge for all of us, I think, because they were forced to work on their own without me. And have them kind of keep things moving because this is our only job, it's our only form of income. So it was kind of a little weird transition, but they are super supportive and proud of me, and they're here every step of the way.
Yeah, that's great. That kind of support is hard to come by. You listen to people's stories. It's not all the time their family is, with them, backing them, for
Well, especially
various
music,
reasons.
because music is such a tough industry and it's not necessarily, most people don't consider it a real job, but it is. It's a lot of work and we put our life into it. So I think I got really lucky to have their support.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, they don't consider it a real job if you don't make it, right? Like they're like,
Yeah,
if you're constantly touring and you're not popular and you're not famous, they don't consider it a real job. But I'm sure there's amazing singers all over the world that just haven't gotten their break. So it's
definitely.
awesome that you're getting this opportunity to do that. So with your parents, like, or with your dad and in them traveling and everything like that, how big are these tours that you guys are taking when you work before The Voice, as far as, like, is it all over the world, is it just nationwide?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what the nature of the tour is. Because right now we play locally, so we're all over town. But we've done tours in Switzerland and Monte Carlo. We've done them in China, actually, which was
Oh,
a
wow.
fun one. So we've gotten around musically all over the world and gotten a chance to see some amazing
Mhm.
countries and meet some amazing people through the music.
That's awesome. So that just kind of going on with that, you mentioned China, everything going on with the coronavirus.
It
You,
was way back.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you did. Did you bring the coronavirus over here? No, I'm kidding. Uh, but so yeah, so with that going on, and so where are you guys at with that? I know you're probably limited to, like, what you can say, if just whatever you can say. Uh, how is the show going to go forward now? With the live rounds after the recordings are over.
Well, NBC is obviously, they're assessing the live shows and how they're going to go about it. And I know once that they have their game plan and once they know what they're going to do, they're going to make a public statement regarding
Hmm.
exactly what they're going to do with it.
Hmm. Okay, so let's just, for instance sake, let's just say that that they decide to do like what a lot of people are doing, what the UFC is really trying to do now, which is do shows without an audience. um does that make a difference for you as a singer, like to sing with an audience as opposed to without one? What are you more comfortable with?
I mean, obviously, I've grown up in front of an audience. I'm used to being on stage, but I think that it definitely adds it adds like a different challenge if that's the case. Being
Hmm.
on a computer, I guess, is like, I'm guessing
Hmm.
that's like what
Okay.
what you're saying, because it's, I mean, I've done YouTube covers and I've performed like that.
Hmm.
So and I mean, in this quarantine we've been doing live stream concerts for our followers, trying to just find a way to keep the music going. So
Hmm.
I'm getting a little bit of experience. So if that's what happens, then I feel like it'll
Sure.
be interesting. It'll be a challenge. But I mean, I like you said, the UFC fights, I've been watching them, and it is interesting to see. My boyfriend's actually a professional MMA fighter,
Okay.
and
Okay.
he's in that situation right now where they're thinking about going digital
Yeah.
and just fighting with nobody in the audience. And we've had long conversations about that, of how it would
Mhm.
affect the performance. And I think that there definitely is that aspect of you feed off the audience, but I think there's also, when you're in your game mindset, I think you're
Mhm.
just going to go and do what you have to do.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a little off topic of what we're talking about, but but now they just announced that Khabib is out of the Tony fight, and then Gaethje's stepping in. So it's that's gonna be interesting with the way that whole dynamic is gonna work out. The only reason I bring that up is because I know you're so into
Definitely, yeah.
MMA.
It's definitely going to be interesting how they're going to go about this whole new situation. I mean, it's a learning curve for everybody, and I
Sure.
think luckily, with MMA, they've been able to continue the sport to the
Yeah.
best of their capabilities. I mean, it's one
Yeah.
of the few sports that has been able to continue.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everything else just completely shut down. It seems like the UFC is really trying their best to keep it going as best they can. So, yeah. So what's like going forward now after The Voice, whatever the outcome is. What are your plans? Do you have an idea of what you want to do after the show's over?
I mean, definitely, obviously, music is my passion, so I want to continue that. I want to continue performing, hopefully, move up to larger venues, bring in
Mhm.
more audiences. I'm planning on definitely getting in the studio
Mhm.
after this and recording, hopefully, an album of
Mhm.
original songs, and being able to put that out into the masses, and hopefully just continue building the following of people who are listening to my music.
Awesome. So, do you were talking about original songs? So you write your own music? That's my
Yes, I do. My
understanding.
whole family writes.
Okay. So when you perform with your family, are you just like doing one song, yours, one song somebody else's, or how does that work? Like how's the writing process go? Speaking to someone that is not in the music industry. Like,
The writing process, I think it depends just on the song. I mean, I've had songs I've sat down and written out all the lyrics, and I just couldn't get the music to it. And I've gone to my family and said, "Hey, do you have any ideas?" And it's a collective work, or we start writing something together where I'm like, "Hey, I have this line," and my brother will say, "I have that line," and it kind of just works together. Or I have a song, I sit down and it just comes out and it's done the way it is.
mhm.
And same with my brothers. So it depends. I mean, we all write different genres, actually.
Okay.
I'm more into the country rock. My brother's into the punk scene. My youngest brother's more into the old school, like crooner music. So it depends on like how the show is going throughout the night. We have our moments of, we get more rocking and we get more country and more slow. And that's when we'll throw in the originals based on what genre we're kind of in, what the
Mhm.
bag is.
What motivates you to write a song? Like, do you just say, okay, I need to write a song, or is there some kind of like thought process? Some people need to be like in the certain. I've heard musicians say I need to be like in a more emotional state. They write the best music in that kind of state. What are your thoughts on that?
For me, it depends. I mean, there is that emotional side where there will be better songs that will come if you're in a tough time or in an emotional time of your life, because it's easier to talk about something in that
Hmm.
time and put it to words.
Sure.
But then I'll have times I'll wake up in the middle of the night with a melody and I'll sing it into my phone and come wake up the next day and say, "Hey, I like that," or "What was I thinking?" Or I'll be driving. A lot of my songs come from driving. I'll be driving in the car and I just humming, or I'll have a melody pop into my head or a line, and I'm like, "Quick, get my recorder!" And I record it into that, and songs come from there. So I think it's either you're in that emotional time, you need to force yourself to write something,
Mhm.
or it just comes to you and you just roll with it.
When it comes to you, it's like you have to record it at that moment, or otherwise it like fade. Is that the idea?
Yeah, for me, I have so many melodies going on in my head that if I don't record it, I'm not going to remember it later.
That's funny. So I guess at this point, so when you say you're like quarantined, right? Can you go out for, like, here we can go out for like like grocery items and things like that. Where you guys are at, what's the extent of this quarantine that you're in right now?
So California is under shelter in place right now, which means we have to stay home. It's a stay-at-home order, but we are allowed to leave for essentials. So if
Okay.
you really need to go get food, you can go, or if you need to go like to the bank or financials, or if you need to go to like the doctors, because anything outside of that, it's not essential. It's not necessary. So we are staying home. I haven't left. I've been in my house for 3 weeks. I'm going crazy.
Yeah, like Well, that's good because then you get to talk a lot on this podcast to get all that out. You know.
And I can talk. I can talk a lot.
That's funny. Oh man. So at this point, like what date? You said it's the end of April, right? So you're expecting to hear something from NBC, I guess, by the end of April, I'm assuming.
I'm not really sure. Like I said, they'll start releasing things once they have everything ready. I know the live shows start beginning of May, so it will be before the beginning of May.
I have to find out something, right? Otherwise, what are you going to do? So, interesting. Cool. Very cool. So, there was one question that I wanted to ask you. Like, is there somebody that I know you like the older music. Is there anybody that you listen to now that you enjoy? Like just personally for personal enjoyment?
I mean, obviously, I listen to the the older music, but of current artists, I really, really love Adele, even though she's not
Oh,
technically
yeah.
as current.
Well,
Adele,
yeah.
I love Ed Sheeran. I actually love Post Malone. I am so impressed by his songwriting. He is so good. And then outside of that, he's actually bringing back some artists. Like he did a song with James Taylor. He did a
Hmm.
song with Ozzy Osbourne. Um,
Yeah, the one with Ozzy Osbourne is really good, and I like that.
so
Yeah,
good.
it was
I
so
love
good.
that song. Actually, I like Charlie Puth too. He did a song with James Taylor too. Who's
Hmm.
that? Actually, he's on. James Taylor is the mega mentor for Knockouts. So
Yeah, I saw that they had that. I read that somewhere. So that's really cool. So,
I cried.
huh?
I said I
You said you
cried. I found out
cried.
him and I cried.
How did they announce it? Like that he was going to be the mentor? Like there was it like how did the surprise come?
They told us right before we went out to meet him.
Oh, so they just let you know verbally, like, okay.
Yeah, they found out right before, and I cried. I saw him and I was like, I love him because like and it's funny because I mean obviously someone my age isn't really gonna fangirl over James Taylor,
Right,
uh,
right, right.
but I did because
Yeah.
I grew up idolizing him as a songwriter. He's one of my
Hmm.
idols for that. And then obviously my dad teaching me
Sure.
music. He freaked out when I told him. And then it's just been crazy to see a legend in front
Yeah.
of me is insane.
Yeah, for a regular person that generally does not mingle with that kind of crowd, to see someone that you're like very, like from your, I would say like maybe from your childhood, I guess you could say,
Oh, definitely.
yeah, to see someone like that right in front of you has got to be like, awestrucking. So, you said your dad when you told your dad, is your dad allowed to be on set? Like, will he get to meet him, or how did that work?
No, I'm not a minor. I'm older. I'm old. I don't get to have my dad with me.
Oh, so they
I
won't let you
wish.
because you're over the
And
age of 18.
my dad wishes he could have been there, of course. But my dad definitely has been there for some performances and seen it, but he doesn't get to get the behind the scenes action
Oh
that I
man.
get to do. So he gets to live
Yeah, yeah.
vicariously through my experience.
Is there anything that you'd like to like plug in? Anything? We talked about your band. If somebody wanted to contact you for as far as like any kind of you know music advice, help, anything like that, coordinating with you, like how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, if you guys can find me on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you just look up Joey Fulco. Joey with an I though.
S-
Gets confusing.
Yeah, very. Because when I looked you up, I couldn't find you. I was like, wait a
I found
minute.
my dad.
I was like, wait a minute, something isn't right.
Yeah, it's Joei. But if you look up Joey Fulco on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I'm there. I'm on YouTube. I have a website, which is joeyfulco.com. So I have all my shows on there. I have contact information on there. So
Awesome.
yeah, just find me anywhere. I'm everywhere.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy even under quarantine, but but I appreciate it. You take care.
I appreciate it. I really have a great day, and
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Uh-huh. Take care. Bye-bye.